when you start off today's tutorial, we'll get this model here. So this is the model, same model that we've been looking at for the last few weeks. And what we're going to do is we're going to unwrap this model. Now, unwrapping organic models can be quite difficult. Sometimes you can achieve faster results just based on the head shape, but the quality of the unwrap can be different on every single model. It's just the way your model is constructed. It means that you're stretching, you might get stretching in areas that you might need to fix, and it's not like for like on every single model. So but this process works for this model, and it can be applied to other models as well. It just means that you just need to do a lot of some tweaking at some point in order for it to work. Before I do anything, I'm just going to put these eyes on a layer so I can access them or turn them off so they don't come in the way. So I'm just going to select these, deselect that, and just add that onto the layer and just turn them off. I'm going to open up my UV editor so to see what the model's UVs look like currently. Now, if you look at them currently, they're in this state. So every face has been just unitized, so you're not going to be able to so every face is just sitting in this point. Now if I hit on the UV editor, you'll see that there's many options for me to start off. If I hit planar, you'll see that I get a front view. There's different ways to unwrap it. The idea is to kind of break the model up, but sometimes you can get decent results starting off by just using some of these basic primitive planing mapping solutions. So for instance, if I use cylindrical, that kind of gives me that model unwrapped to a certain level, and I need to clean it up then. Like that, you can play around with these depending on your model. The idea is to flatten out the model so it's not to minimize the amount of stretching that's taking place. So what we're going to do is, just to give this a go, I'm going to start off with cylindrical mapping because it's given me this kind of a flat view. I'm going to move this all the way around so it kind of takes up the 3D space. Actually, if I move this around, you'll see that this kind of squeezes this together and it fits it into this 1-1 space. That's basically my texture space that I'm going to be working with. I'll just hit undo for now because I want to move that around in a moment. The other thing that you can do is if you hover over on this projector widget, you'll see that if I click on this line that is appearing, this one in the center, I can move this around, and if I move it around, you can see that edges, faces are going from left to right. From this, I'm moving from this side onto that side. That means that it's just the angle of the projector that I'm using. So if I zoom in there, let me select this so it's active. You can see, try to get this roughly in the middle by just moving it left to right. So as you can see, these faces are them. Now I'm just going to move this so you can see this slightly better. I'm going to screen that up. Now straight away you can see that this is flat. It's going to be a lot of stretching, so if I turn my checker pattern on, usually you can see how that's appearing. It's quite nice in most places. You can see the UVs are quite flat and there's some stretching going on here which we can fix. You'll find that there's some stretching in this nose area that will fix that, and of course at the top here we need to address that. So I'm just going to turn this off for a second so you can see that's where the problem is that we need to fix. But at the same time, we've got this bit here in the mouth. We can't really see what's happening in the mouth because we have some topology inside the mouth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually separate that. And the way to separate that quickly without actually putting too much work in is to select a loop. So I'm going to go close to the mouth here and try to go inside it so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go in there, and I can see that my lips in this case are around here. So if I double select that, I've kind of looped that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my polygon UVs, and I'm going to create a UV shell. I can now move that UV shell across. Now that's just a small area here, but because we created this small shell, this automatically became a separate shell, and this piece that we had, this whole chunk in the inside, has become a separate shell because we've kind of created a break in the actual UVs that were connected. So right now we've got three shells, the small one, this whole pipe that's running inside, that we can worry about later on. So right now you can see that these are my UVs that I'm going to be working up and cleaning up with. If I zoom in on my eye, I might want to do the same on this side as well. So I'm just going to select this bit here and select that bit. Let's just have a look on the outside. Actually, we'll just separate that bit there, the bit that's just sticking out. So let's go back in, just select this bit that's sticking out, and just move across. It's a bit different on this side, so we'll just select this bit here. So what I've done is I've selected these two faces, and I'm going to do the same thing now. I'm going to create a UV shell, and I'm going to move that across. Now I'm going to unwrap this as well, but I'm not going to do it right away. I can what I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to clean this up, and in the next video I'll be showing you that, and then we'll unwrap this, and that will be our head model unwrapped.